So, you've decided you want your gun to fold. We're going to look at 3 options that I've been using next on GBGuns. Making your rifle fold in half or your pistol with brace makes things a whole lot easier for handling, and there's a couple different options out there. I've experienced 3 of them and wanted to show you what I've experienced and what my thoughts are on them so far. When wanting your pistol or rifle to fold, one thing you got to keep in mind is the buffer system. If you're using a traditional AR, that buffer has to travel between the receiver and the buffer tube. I'll get on that next. If you have something like a Scorpion or the SIDEWINDER or something like that where there isn't a reciprocating mass, this solution from Matador Arms, the SIDEWINDER, is very easy to install, probably the easiest of all of them, and lightweight. It threads in to your stock adapter, and then you thread your stock, or in this case brace, into the back end. Lockup is good and solid. It's rather clean in appearance and feature. Unlock is easy by pushing the button, and it does lock in the open position. I have a little bit of play here on mine, but that's understandable. They engineered that in there because were this to be one of those rubbery braces that were thicker, or were the SIDEWINDER to be thicker, this is about as far as you'd want it to fold anyways. So smart move on their part with that. I love how easy this was to install, and that it's less expensive because you don't need all the buffer components. What I don't like about it is the same thing that I like about it, and that is that it locks open. You can't have both ways. So when it's open, or folded if you will, it's locked in place. You've got to push down on this button here to flip it back around. So it's not as quick to deploy as one of the non-locking options without a positive lock there, but that's just something that you have to decide if you want or don't want. I can't really call it a fault. Overall design on the Matador, it's very nice. Everything's very clean and very easy to install. Thread it in, tighten these screws here, and those put some pressure onto the threads in the adapter, and that's all there is to it. So that's if you don't have a buffer. Let's look at the AR type adapters. So this is my ultra compact travel 300 black, if you will. It's got the Dolo system to remove the barrel and the Law Tactical folder on the back. The Law Tactical is kind of seen as the original. They've got a lot of time in it. Very nice construction, very smooth. It doesn't lock open, so you can just flip it around real quick, lock in place, and your bolt can still travel. You of course don't want to fire when it's open. So the challenge, of course, is you've got to cover that gap, that distance. And Law Tactical has done it with this sort of plug that fits in the back end of your bolt carrier. One thing to keep in mind is that that is going to change the weight of your reciprocating mass, and so it might have an effect on reliability if you're running low-powered ammo or your system's undergassed, or something like in a real soft 300 blackout type setup. This hasn't been fired yet. I haven't had it to test it. Pretty neat build, just a cheap palmetto lower, and then to save some weight, because the Law Tactical is steel, so it's heavy, went with the V7 upper, which is very nice. This is their super lightweight stuff. And then of course the Dolo system added some weight to it. But the Law Tactical folder is very clean and tidy in appearance. It follows the general lines of the gun, of an AR, aside from of course the folding mechanism, which something has to be done. You have to have a mechanism there. Lockup is real solid. Unlocking is easy with this button that is somewhat shielded, and then it swings open and pretty much stays open. You of course don't want to fire with it open because the bolt is locked. This bolt can't move. It's held in place by this tab. You can see that moving there, and that tab is pushed over when the system is closed for everything to function. So the Law Tactical, very nice one, is a bit more expensive, but it's sort of the original, and most solid in my experience so far as installation and general handling. And I've got one more less expensive option, and that option is this one from Sylvan Arms, which you can see is not on a completed build, just installed it to just kind of get a feel for it. Similar, it's got the button is not shielded, and I find this whole thing a little bulky, squares off, and the mounting system makes it, you get this awkward gap here. So it's not as aesthetically pleasing as the Law Tactical. Unlock though, push the button, swings, you can see the roller bearings there, and it has a sort of recessed locking point, if you heard that, kind of sets in there, but it's not locked solid. So you can still just flip it open without having to push any buttons. So that's a plus. You do get the QD point retained back there, and you get this plug for extending your bolt carrier to be able to bridge that gap. So the Sylvan Arms is less expensive than Law Tactical. Installation was pretty straightforward, much like putting on any backplate for your rifle. However, it's just not as sleek. It's more of a bulky piece there. It is lighter weight. I think there's some aluminum involved here, whereas the Law is steel. To give you a comparison side by side, there's your Law. You see it follows the lines of the receiver, and the Sylvan, which gives you that kind of awkward gap. But both work to my experience so far. You just got to keep in mind, if you want to go with a folding option, that adding this weight to be able to bridge that gap on the back of your bolt carrier is going to change your reciprocating mass, which may mean needing to change buffer or spring or gas settings depending on the caliber and load you're using. But just wanted to show you those three options real quick. There's not a lot out there on them. I had to just get these and try them for myself. So to go over it once again, for those with reciprocating bolts, we've got Sylvan Arms and Law Tactical, and for the non-reciprocating, this nice small one from Matador. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. If anyone's tried any of these or a different brand, let us know. Thanks for watching.